Hey there, welcome to Synth Seeker. My name's Luke. It is January, 8th? Yeah, January 8th. I'm losing track of time. And today's going to be a fun one for me. Hopefully for you, it'll be at least entertaining. I am going to do a little exploration today, and I just want to share it with you. If we go back in time to my formative years, my earliest years of synth seekinghood, where I got hooked on this stuff, the very first synthesizer I ever heard was Wendy Carlos's album, Switched on Bach. My dad put it on one evening. He said, "Hey, listen to this." He worked for Telarc Records in Cleveland at the time. We were living in Cleveland. And Telarc back then was pretty much classical only. And so I'd been hearing a lot of classical music. And but I didn't play any instruments yet. We had a little organ in the house. My parents played guitar and performed. But I didn't play any instruments yet. And he put this record on, this Switched on Bach. And I had heard Bach before. He had played me organ, stuff, two-part inventions, cantatas, things like that. But I hadn't heard it on the Moog synthesizer, right? And it just kind of blew me away, and it got me really hooked. Now you flash forward about, 6 or 7 years, 8 years, maybe 10 years. And I heard this other artist, major influence in my sort of love of music, a guy named Yngwie Malmsteen. He's a guitar god at the time. I don't even know what he's been recategorized as now because his genres have shifted. But back then it was classical music, but like metal. And it was just amazing. And it just brought me right back to Switched on Bach, but with distorted guitar. And so those two things really influenced me. So I love synthesizers. And I love the topic for today. I'm going to share in this little jam. Harmonic minor is the scale. All right. But on the push, because I want a little more, the way I like the way it's laid out. There's a scale on the push called Phrygian dominant, which is basically harmonic minor, but it's lit up a fifth lower. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. It sounds like this. Okay. This is harmonic minor. That's harmonic minor. And I am just going to noodle here in harmonic minor to sort of show you might want to explore some of these little off-kilter scales, some of these other scales outside of major and minor, outside of the diatonic modes. I'm going to do this with one synth. I've got the Minimoog hooked up. And basically I've got 3 oscillators set so that 2 are in unison and one's an octave down. And I've got a little delay on it and a little bit of chorus. And I've got an arpeggiator running for a 3-octave arpeggiator. All right, so if I hold this down. All right, that's what we're going to hear. And when you're playing through an arpeggiator that's doing these octaves and you play intervals, you get interesting things. All right. So I'm going to play you a little bit of Yngwie Malmsteen influenced, kind of switched on Bach kind of tonality. A bit of a jam, but really just encouragement to go explore. All right. So without any further ado, let's fool around. Or as my friend Rabbit would say, let's have a mess around. Here we go. Safe travels, Rabbit. that's that. So basically, harmonic minor. Play around with that scale. Go to the weird stuff in the corners of your DAW or your instrument or whatever, and try a few of the other things. And maybe they'll remind you of some stuff from your childhood or from an ancient Swedish classical metal guitar god. So I don't know if Malmsteen is any equivalent to what Gent is now, but I don't know. He was a big influence, as was Wendy Carlos. But that is January 8th. And I hope you've had fun with this little tour with me. And as always, you've been watching Synth Seeker. Have a great week.